Welcome to an introduction to the alchemist in a spiritual business. So I'm Mylene Burns, I'm owner of the Spiritual Marketing Club, and I offer a variety of self-study courses and mentoring to help healers, coaches and therapists identify more of their soul purpose and to reach those soul clients. And one of the tools that I use that I have been fascinated for over at least 25 years is archetypes. And when I studied counselling, psychology and psychotherapy and all that, I really had a fascination about archetypes. And I went on to study archetypes in different formats to do with healing, therapy, for self-use, and also then branding and marketing. And one of the huge advantages that I had as a healer approaching archetypes, not just from like the logical perspective of using it in branding and marketing, but I have a gift often when I'm working with clients. I can see colours, I sense the energy of them and sense aspects of the energy of their business, right? And one of the strong archetypes that I attract a lot of is alchemists, and that's natural because many healers are strong alchemists, many spiritual teachers are strong alchemists. Now, I have the alchemist in my as one of my main archetypes, but it's not the most strongest. Mine is the first comes is always the nurturing. Some types of testing, the creator and alchemist, but always the nurturer first. But I attract many that have the alchemist and mixtures of the caregiver, the helper, so they're very much the nurturer. And one of the things that I love about working with alchemists and helping them in their soul purpose and then help them forward with their business and marketing is that you can have a lot of fun with the alchemist's marketing, because at the core of an alchemist is the magician. If we look at it from a marketing perspective, the main archetype there is the alchemist magician. So magic is at the core of that, right? The ability to really put magic into the brand and to help the client feel that magical aspect. Now, saying that, every single alchemist that I meet has a completely different energy, right? So they can have strong alchemist traits, but I'll give you some examples. So I am very highly empathic and very intuitive, and I really feel energy in all sorts of ways. So some of the clients right away, I know there's a masculine energy. Now, they might not take that the right way, but I can feel there's a more solidness, right? So some have more solid energy. Some have more a free floating soft energy. Some can have almost like a solidness that's kind of more light. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like they are strong within their energy field, but the energy is able to be more flexible. Some are very feminine, some have a very kind of fairy tale type light energy, some are very more elegant and classical, some are a wee bit more rough around the edges, I've got a wee bit of the rebel in them. But the reality is that they all at their core have strong elements where they believe, and their gifts are about helping transform people in certain aspects or help them move forward from maybe health challenges, mental emotional challenges. They can move pivotal people, help move them from one situation to another, right? So if you think about the alchemist helps turn the lead into gold, right? It's that kind of thing. But the reality is, an alchemist magician, it's not that you are doing it, you are allowing the person to transform. You're giving them you're holding the space or giving them tools or whatever to help that happen, right? The reality, but when we're building a business, and the reality is if we want to really stand out, right? And most healers and spiritual business owners come in to this industry often with not a huge marketing budget, right? And they're often doing it on their own. And many can be very naive when they enter the industry, how much maybe work they have to put in to get their business growth, or maybe investments they need to make to advertising. Particularly now when we do a lot of our marketing online, right? And particularly if you are running mostly an online business. The big reality that many people struggle with when they come in is actually having to stand out, and they sometimes don't realise how many other healers, coaches and therapists are out there all trying to be visible. But the alchemist has a huge advantage over many other archetypes because many people on a soul level and a spiritual level crave for that magic because they cannot see it in their own life, and they struggle to see it in many elements, of their life. And no matter what we like it or not, everyone craves a bit of magic, right? And that hope, and that ability to see from the light to the shadow. So when you can help a client see their alchemist traits, but also their unique alchemist traits. And what I mean by that is that every alchemist will have other threads that will run through that. So for example, I, first of all, I'm a nurturer, what they call a caregiver. My main archetype is that. I do have alchemist in, but first and foremost, mine is the giver, and many times the overgiver, but all about heart and giving and nurturing and support, right? So my energy is a very motherly energy first, right? Other alchemists that I can think off the bat, I know some other who actually have strong alchemist traits, but they also may have the sage. Some have maybe the ruler, the leader. Some have the rebel, and sometimes the rebel can be a really great one for coaching, right? Other things, sometimes the rebel, if the shadow element's coming in too much and they're trying to be a healer, it can cause all sorts of problems because the rebel often struggles with rules and guidelines and doing things. So they sometimes can be a wee bit erratic and just want to do things for the sake of changing things. So that kind of, so you're getting to get a feel about things. I work also with a lot of alchemists that are strong creators, because the creator is one of my strong archetypes as well. And I love working with alchemist creators because they're bringing their artistic and creative element in with the alchemist. And a lot of them are either, artists, or they're bringing maybe psychic art or some sort of element of their art through in a healing way. But again, every single one of them has different energy. So when I go to help them with their branding and their marketing, I don't just look at standard archetypes and what they suggest for colours and whatever. We look at the whole picture and we match up with the clients and the product and solution that they're offering. And that's what a normal business would always match up, for example, of their colours and things. It's not just about the person selling, the coach, healer, therapist. It has to match up with the client and with what you're offering. But the reality is, one of the things that really helps a spiritual business owner, particularly if it's like coaching, healing or therapy, is knowing yourself. And I know you can do a lot of deep work and still feel there's elements that you don't recognise until something else happens and you start to get to know yourself a lot better. And I have to say that archetypal work really helped me, right? It helped me understand myself. And I believe one of the things that I believe is not the greatest, healthiest thing in the holistic and spiritual industry is there's so much fast track training and it's all just about making money and just getting more clients, that lots of healers and therapists go out there trying to support other people when they've not even done the basic foundations in their own inner work. And even no matter how advanced we are in our path or how awakened, I believe that understanding archetypes can help you not just understand yourself, but understand how you can create a more healthier business that's going to work with your strengths, your natural abilities, right? And maybe things that you should avoid, right? It can help you look at the type of clients that you should work with, what are best even in an archetypal perspective, and understand why certain types of client would be attracted to you and why they wouldn't. And then we're obviously getting into the business and marketing, but also it can give you an understanding of the energy that is going on at that time. So for example, we are this is September 2021, and we are still in the COV. I'm not going to say it because unfortunately when we're putting anything with certain names out in videos now, but let's put it, it's to do with some endemic, right? So we're in a situation where lots of things are going on in a government level and a worldwide level, right? And for example, so the archetype that's playing out and has been playing out from 2020 and even maybe just before that is very much about the ruler, the leader, but the controller, right? So if you think about how much the governments and think about the WHO, UN and all that, there's certain aspects where people are trying to force, not just, they're going past rulership and leadership, it's the real controllers coming in, right? And if we look at that archetype, we can also add that, think about that as the masculine father, where if you think about it, for example, a child that's abused from childhood, right? If it's from the masculine side, it can be someone that does the ruler, leader, controller aspects and start manipulating and abusing them. And if we look at society at the moment, that we're like the children, right? And we are being ruled and led, but it's led to us now into complete, like control and manipulation. And we understand that brings up all our inner child wounding, and it brings out other archetypes within us. We can understand what's playing out in society and also what is in some ways can be fashionable, right? So there's certain archetypes can be fashionable with certain eras and certain times in history because of what is playing out in the conscious and unconscious, right? At the moment, light workers like you need to, more and more people are recognizing that they need the light warrior. They need to bring the light warrior aspect strongly through to push through the present circumstances. Now, I know the power of archetypes, and to help people, I've created a new course called The Magic of Archetypes, which is a foundational introduction to archetypes for coaches, healers and therapists. But just to let people tap into more about archetypes, if they're interested in doing that course, I am offering an introduction to archetypes, a free webinar which will be running on I'm sure it's the 19th of September at 7 p.m. It's Sunday UK time. And it's for coaches, healers and therapists, and it's just about you understanding the power of archetypes in your life, your business and your marketing, for your clients, for you. And if this is something you're interested, I will be putting a link below. But the reality is that if you, for example, want to be a coach, you always have to be more evolved. Some people say you should only be 1 or 2 steps in front of your clients. And one of the important things that I say, well, you have to be sure that you're 1 or 2 steps in front of your client and that you've got that strength and confidence. I've, over the years, invested in lots of coaching and lots of different things, and many times I was disappointed because what the coach, how the coach said what level they were at, and what they said they were at, and what they were, was two different things. And the reality was they weren't owning, there were shadow elements of their archetype coming up, so they weren't owning their greatest skill, right? They weren't owning where their niche sat, or they were a wee bit of the alchemist in me, the little sorcerer magician who just wants to get to the really good stuff without doing the work, and they're not maybe at a certain level. So we all have different shadow archetypes. You know, we are all got the light shadow aspect within our archetypes, and the more we understand them, we can recognize areas in our business and our market, and we may be sabotaging ourselves. So I really think this is, you know, a beneficial for people that are not just, you know, for their therapy work and their healing work, but also for the business and marketing. But I have to add that I do sometimes tend to attract in some of these webinars a lot of people that are admin or marketing and whatever. It's not aimed, it is aimed at coaches, healers and therapists, because it's coming from a healing. And when I talk about coaching, I'm talking about spiritual coaching. It's not just about business coaching. I'm talking about people that are natural healers, are natural spiritual coaches and therapists, because that's what it's aimed at. So have a lovely day, and remember that if you're an alchemist, you have great power, and you have amazing ability to help clients see transformation. It's not just about transformation, help them transform areas, but it's to actually help them see that they can transform. There's an inspiration there. Okay, so go and do your magic today. Bye bye.